There are thousands, maybe millions of different reasons of why somebody could have an altered mental status. For some reason, their brain isn't working right. It could be from controlled substances, they could have a head injury, they could have blood loss, they might have a mental illness, they might be emotionally distraught. Nobody actually knows what's going on with this person, and until we can figure that out by taking care of them and running our diagnostics, we're not going to know. We got to get close to that patient so that we can help them. But as we do that, we're putting ourselves at a significant risk. And we need to make sure that we can handle anything that's going to come at us, even if it's from the patient that we're trying to assist. There was one time when I was working in the ER, I was taking care of a Marine that had come into the hospital by ambulance. His wife had called the ambulance because he had been drinking really heavily and had thrown up a lot of blood. And so she was concerned for him, called the ambulance, and he had come in by rig. And they had wheeled him in on the gurney, and I was getting him hooked up to the machines and checking his vital signs and all that kind of stuff. And just running a bunch of different types of tests on him. And as I'm talking to him, I'm looking at him, and he's a pretty big guy. I'm a large guy myself. I'm about 6'2" and 230. And he definitely outweighed me and was at least as tall as me. And the arms on him were about the size of my thighs. So he was a big dude. And as I'm working on him, I can see him sitting there very calmly for the most part. He was very drunk. You could smell the alcohol coming off of him. But as I was talking to him, I could see his eyes roving around the ER. We were out there in the open, the drapes were drawn back, and you could see all of the ER. And it was reasonably busy. We weren't, I would say, slammed, but we were cooking along pretty good. Lots of different patients in different rooms, nurses bustling around, kids with fevers and that kind of thing. And as I'm watching him, I can see his eyes roving between person to person to person. And he says to me, he says, "You know, Doc, you know why I'm drinking so much?" And I said, "No." He says, "When I was in Iraq, I killed a lot of people. A lot of people that didn't deserve it, and I'm not proud of it. And every day I think about that." And he's just calm and cool, and his eyes still moving back and forth calmly across the ER. And he says to me, he says, "You know, Doc, I think I can get 11 or 12 people before they finally got me. I think I could kill 11 or 12 people, I think. I think so." And he's just looking around that ER, just calm and cool as he could be. Something about that really unsettled me, naturally. And I followed his gaze around the ER and saw those kids and their fevers and the little nurses bustling around and taking care of people. And I thought to myself, you know, I think you're right. I bet you could. And for the rest of the night, I posted myself alongside of his bed and just kind of busied myself so I didn't feel awkward. But my goal was I watched him very closely throughout the rest of that night. And my goal is if I saw him twitch in a way that I didn't like, I was going to start dropping elbows on his face and head as hard as I could and as fast as I could until he stopped moving. Because otherwise I was going to have a pretty hard fight on my hands. So I've come into my fair share of engagements with combative patients myself. And it sucks because you know that they're not in their right mind. You know that they're not meaning to hurt you, but they're scrambling. They're trying to get away from you. They're trying to hold you down. And you need to know how to control another person or how to get them to stop controlling you. Do you know how to get somebody's arm off of you? What if they're gripping your lapels? What if they've got you wrapped up with your stethoscope? Do you know how to pry somebody's hands off of you so that you can get away?